Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave, and today we're talking about CSHI. This is another ETF that comes to us from NEOS, and we're going to have the opportunity again to talk to Troy Cates, who is the co-founder of NEOS, and again, baby daddy, twins I guess, to CSHI. So today we're going to get his perspective on this fund, which is a cash alternative ETF. We're going to see if using this as a cash alternative can put a little bit of extra money in our pocket every single month through those distributions, and how this might function for our particular portfolio if we are a buyer. So, if that is what you're looking for, please stick around. Whoop. CSHI comes to us from NEOS Investments. This is the same group that brought us SPYI, which I just did a review of with Troy, and I'll link that up above. But I also did another review a few weeks back on a product called HEQT, and that came to us from SPYI ETFs. I'll link that above as well. So HEQT, CSHI, similar products. These are both what they're calling cash alternatives. And both of them, if you give them your money, are going to go out and they're going to buy T-bills. So right now the T-bill rate, let's say it's about 5%. They're going to buy T-bills. That's going to offer us that nice 5% return. Wherever the T-bill rate goes, so does our base level of income. Then on top of that, whether it's HEQT or CSHI, they're going to add an option strategy to try to give us a little bit more money. Sometimes it's going to pay off, sometimes it's not. So if you're willing to gamble and take a little bit of risk, you might get a little bit better return. And that's how CSHI functions. But I'll let Troy explain. Welcome back, Troy. Thanks for coming back on. We recently discussed your flagship ETF. I don't know if you want to call it your flagship, but that was SPYI. And you have two others that we're going to talk about now. We'll cover the other one in a little bit, but we'll focus on CSHI, which is your Enhanced Income Cash Alternative ETF. So it's offering a little bit over a 6% distribution yield currently, and only 38 basis point expense ratio. So tell me a little bit about the makeup of CSHI.
Sure. Thanks for having me on again. CSHI was a product that we wanted to build an option portfolio on top of your cash portfolio. And what our goal was, how can we build a portfolio that would yield an extra 1 to 1.5% over whatever cash was doing? When we designed it, cash was yielding 0. When we launched it, cash was yielding 2, 2.25. And here we are. We've seen what the Fed's done fighting inflation, and T-bills are now yielding well over 5%. So that gets us with our products yielding over 6%. And the nice part about CSHI, what's in the portfolio, is we're long 1 to 3 month T-bills, getting you that 5+% from the T-bills. And then we use an SPX index put spread strategy. So what that's doing is on a weekly basis, so it's a weekly roll with a 2-week duration. On a weekly basis, we're selling deep out of the money SPX index put spreads. So a put spread is for every put we're selling to bring in income. We're using a portion of that to buy a put to make sure that we're hedged on that actual spread. When you're selling put spreads, you're inherently bringing in a long equity bias to T-bill to a fixed income portfolio. And what we wanted to do to make sure we weren't bringing in too much volatility into the portfolio was, one, we're selling deep out of the money put spread. So on average, on a weekly basis, when we roll those, they're anywhere from 8 to 10% out of the money. And we roll those weekly, so we're never in stale strikes. We're not getting too close to where the S&P 500 is. We're moving it around weekly just to trim a little bit of premium on a weekly basis and bring in that income to get you that extra 100 to 150 basis points a year to put over your T-bill income.
Okay, so with the options, you're just trying to add 1 to 1.5% on top of your T-bill rate.
Exactly.
Okay, not getting greedy.
Not getting greedy. But here we are, looking at when we launched it, as I said, T-bills were yielding 2.25. So we had this really attractive product that was yielding 3.5 to 4%. And here we are now over 6%, as you said earlier, because the T-bills have, obviously the short end of the curve has moved higher, and here we are with T-bills yielding well over 5%. So all of that, all the tax efficiencies of a T-bill and the index options are all passed through the ETF structure, which is the nice part about it. So owning the T-bills in an ETF is just as tax efficient as you owning them in your personal account.
Nice. Okay. So what percent would you say of the fund is allocated to that option strategy?
So when we get flows into the fund, we take 100% of that money and we use that money to buy the T-bills. and then we take 100% of that notional to do the put spread strategy. So we're using the T-bills as collateral for the SPX index put spread strategy. So we're overlaying on 100%. We're not levering it at all. We're not going beyond that. We want to be really conservative because this is a cash alternative. It is a portfolio where people are looking for a low vol return, but they are looking for some returns with a little bit something over whatever they could do in a T-bill or money market portfolio.
Okay. Now, how do you manage the put credit spreads in this case? That they're adding the additional income to the fund, but how do you pick the strikes, and when would you exit a position if there was an event?
Sure. So just like any of our other strategies here, all our option strategies are rules-based. They're systematic. They're quantitatively built. So we are rolling these on a weekly basis. So if there is an event, we're not necessarily closing out of the put spreads early to see what goes on. The model has us roll it at a specific time on a weekly basis. And we've seen that through our testing that's what we can get this extra 1 to 1.5% a year and still stay deep out of the money. Yes, there will be times, a COVID-like scenario or where we have a very sharp sell-off. And like I said earlier, we're 8 to 10% out of the money, but your risk is the market goes down 10% in a week. That's where the risk to this portfolio is in those types of scenarios. But the idea is when the market turns back around, you're selling put spreads, so you're bringing in more premium because we've had a sell-off, maybe volatility moves higher. You could bring in a little more premium and get back what you had potentially lost during that time frame.
Okay. All right. So all rules-based, and you do these, are these always Friday expirations that you're picking and rolling them out each Friday?
We're actually rolling them on Thursdays. And we roll them out two-week duration, but we're closing them every week. So it's a 1 week trade. So when we're closing them out, there's still another week before they would have expired.
That's your latter portion.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then who would you be targeting with this particular ETF? Is it just for people that want to hold some cash but put it into this ETF? Or I guess, how do you see it functioning in a person's portfolio?
So we see it functioning is everybody usually has some kind of cash in their portfolio. We think it's a great place. Some of the other ultra short duration ETFs that are out there, or T-bill ETFs, this fits right into that same bucket. So if you're looking to either hold some cash for a little while, or you're looking to just say, hey, 5%, 6% is what I'm looking to get as real income into my portfolio right now, this is a great low vol alternative. It matches up with a lot of the other ultra short duration ETFs that are out there. And what CSHI could do is provide a little bit more income over that T-bill income that you're receiving.
Okay. And I know it's a question out there for some other people. I kind of know the answer, but if T-bill rates start to fall, do you have any concerns for this fund?
No. The idea is the option portfolio is built to give you an extra 1 to 1.5% over whatever your cash is doing. So if T-bill rates start to fall, some people told that they probably start buying more because they if we're back to where we were a year and a half ago and T-bills are yielding 2.5%, and this is putting out, say, a 4% yield, that's way more attractive to them maybe than right now with a 5% T-bill plus, and this at 6+%. So in those scenarios, I think we might get more interest in the product because it's still going to give you that extra 1 to 1.5% a year over whatever your cash portfolio is doing.
Okay. Yep. And that makes sense to me, but I know I do hear that quite a bit. So, all right. So that covers kind of CSHI, but you have one more, and I kind of want to just kind of get your 2 cents on this. So you have a fund called BNDI. Can you give me just a little bit of information on BNDI?
Sure. So this one where you're taking a core bond portfolio, and to get access to a core bond portfolio, the most the best way to do that, inexpensive way to do that, is to own a couple of different core bond, aggregate bond ETFs. So we own AGG and BND as the core holdings, and then we have a very similar put spread strategy as CSHI, but we're a little closer to the money. On average, when we're rolling on a weekly basis, it's anywhere from 4 to 5% out of the money, and we're looking to give you an extra 2 to 2.5% over whatever your core bond is doing, but keeping the volatility of the portfolio the same as your core bond portfolio. So if you have Right now, ag is yielding, call it 340, 350. That's where we get our BNDIs yielding just about 5.5 right now. That option income that we're bringing in from the SPX index put spreads is giving us that extra 2 to 2.5% a year to get you that over whatever core bond is doing, but keeping your overall volatility of the portfolio the same.
Okay, very good. And that's one that I might be more interested in now too, with what we see happening with rates on the long end of the curve. So who knows? I'll have to take a look at BNDI. So, all right. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about these products and giving me your time. And thanks again.
Thank you.
So what do you think about CSHI after hearing Troy? Is this a buy, a hold, ignore? What is it for your portfolio? Let me know down below. I am curious. For me, I kind of like these alternative cash funds. So I am a buyer of HIGH. CSHI might not be far behind. Now, some smart folks out there on my channel, because we have bright people here, pointed out that HIGH over the last 2 months has provided some return of capital. Some of their return of that 20 cents they pay out every single month was return of capital. And that's because they didn't hit their numbers that month. Some months they'll exceed that 20 cents. Other months they'll fall short. Hopefully, by gambling a little bit, taking on the risk, we'll have a better return than that base rate. That's my goal. If they can't quite hit the 10% in high or the 6 or 7% in CSHI, it's not the end of the world. I'm looking for a better return with my cash by putting it to work this way. And I'm hoping that's how it works out. So I'll put some money into these. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear. Again, down below. Like and subscribe if you like this type of thing, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night. Whoop.